I watched the new Game of Thrones spin-off show, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. I saw the whole first season. So here is my review. No spoilers. Overall, this show is fun. It's very funny. It's very cozy. It takes its time to hang out and chill in this world. This is like the Stardew Valley of Game of Thrones. This is Animal Crossing in Westeros. I haven't actually played those games, but A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is charming, it's warm, it's spending some time in a place, and most of it is quite relaxed, at least for the first few episodes. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is an adaptation of a very short book by George R.R. Martin, and they're expanding this little novella into a whole season of TV, so the show is slow-paced. In most of the episodes, not much happens, and this works when it has fun in that space, when it luxuriates in its slow pace. We get lots of little moments, little textures, little songs that we've never had before in Westeros. We take the time to go and buy eggs. We dance at a party. We sit on a grassy hill. We eat a sandwich. Have we ever eaten a sandwich before in Game of Thrones? This is absolutely the funniest Game of Thrones show. There are some really hilarious moments. It's also got a crude sense of humor, sometimes a shocking sense of humor. There's lots of swearing, there's fart jokes and poops and nudity that might turn some people off. If you don't like gross, earthy humor, then some of this won't land for you. And I think in some moments, the humor undercuts or it undermines the drama. I think sometimes they go too far with the humor in some places, but your mileage may vary. This is a faithful adaptation of the book in that it doesn't make any big changes that contradict the book. What it does do is it adds more scenes, it adds a few characters, it expands the story, and almost all of this I like. I think that the new scenes deepen the story, they add to the themes, they take Dunk on a longer and more thoughtful and unpacked journey than what's in the book. I think that some of this is about taking Dunk's internal thoughts from the book and making it into dialogue or into performance that we can see in the show so that we know what Dunk is thinking. Because that's one of the interesting challenges for this TV adaptation of a book, is accessing Dunk's interiority. Because Dunk is not good with words, and a lot of the time Dunk is alone, so the show has to find creative ways to show us what he's thinking. Peter Claffey, playing Dunk, does a great job with this. I think that Claffey's Dunk is awkward and earnest and quite dumb, and he also has these hidden layers and secrets and anxieties and traumas, and I think it works really great. It's authentic to the book, and it is more than the book. So Peter Claffey's great. Dunk's sidekick, the bald kid, is Egg, played by Dexter Sol Ansel. And Dexter is mostly great. His chemistry with Dunk is great. They really capture that feeling that Egg is smarter than Dunk, but that Dunk in some ways is wiser, or has more experience or more perspective, if only because of his height. Egg is a great mix of adorable and sad and thoughtful and fun. Egg has this very authentic, annoying little brother energy, which I really enjoy. Egg is basically like Aang from The Last Airbender in Westeros. There is one scene in particular with Egg later in the season that I think is very powerful, very haunting, very evocative for his future. So I really enjoyed one of those scenes that they created for the show. So yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for Dexter as Egg to grow in future seasons. Most of the minor characters in this show are better and more interesting than they are in the book. Characters like Lionel Baratheon, Raymond Fossaway, characters like Robin Reisling. Like Robin Reisling does nothing in the book, almost nothing in the book, but he has way more personality in the show. They have fun with it, they get creative with it. And yeah, Lionel Baratheon, played by Daniel Ings, is fucking hilarious. Lionel steals the show. Every scene with him is hysterical. I love it. Lady Gwyn Ashford is really fun. In the book, she doesn't even have a name, but we get a couple of moments with her in the show, and they rock. They're so fun. Gwyn rocks. Sir Arlen is surprising. They put some twists on his personality compared to the book. And I think that Arlen in this show is a delight. He's a great balance of heartfelt and a bit insane. He's heroic and he's a hot mess in a way that we don't see in the book. You'll see what I mean, but I think that Arlen works really great. I think that Tansel Too Tall is an absolute cutie. We don't see heaps of her, but I think she's really good. They've also added new characters like Red and Beanie, the women we saw in the trailers. Red, in particular, gets a whole little journey, which I think is enormously fun. The show adds more about Arlen and Dunk's childhood. We see young Dunk, played by Bamba Todd, who is an incredible young actor. I also enjoy Chloe Leah, who was also in Dune Prophecy. Chloe Leah is great. I think the challenge with these new characters is to keep these additions feeling relevant to the story. Like, I think that Red and Beanie and Daisy, I think they work. I think their scenes feel very thematically relevant to the story, as well as being really fun. There's also a flashback sequence in one episode that is placed in a surprising moment in the story. It is a bold choice to put this long flashback where they put it, and some people might not like it. I wasn't totally sold on it at first. It's a bold choice, but see what you reckon. The costumes and the armor and the props in this show are often really great. Some of the armor is real sexy. I love Lionel and Stefan's armor designs. Arian's horse is crazy. We also get the best facial hair that I have ever seen on television. You'll see what I mean. Buzz buzz. So look, I think all the small folk and the tents and the stalls and the fences and the tools and the objects and all those little things are done really thoughtfully and nicely, and I really love that. The showrunner Ira Parker was saying that the budget for this show is low, and maybe it won't look as good as it should sometimes, but I don't see that. I think the show looks great. Though I do have some small complaints with the designs. Like, some of the Targaryen dragon heraldry has the wrong number of legs, which my colleague Glidus was furious about. He just made a whole video about dragon legs, and they still got it wrong, so that was outrageous. I do not like Valar Targaryen's haircut. It is nowhere near fabulous enough, in my opinion. I'm still kind of disappointed by Aerian's short hair. I also think that Prince Maekar looks too old. He is meant to be the youngest brother, and that's kind of important to the story. But overall, the look of the show is mostly great. They do some amazing things with sound design and music in this show. There are lots of little audio editing jokes where they use a sound in a funny way when they cut to another scene. There's this charming whistling music. There are these very handheld, handmade instruments that make us feel very grounded in the world. There's diegetic music by musicians in the world. There are a bunch of new songs with lyrics sung by characters in the world, and some of these are really, really funny. There are some funny songs in this show, and the songs have meaning in the story, which is awesome. I'll be singing some of these songs all year. They're great. Occasionally, the music is in your face, like they'll play some crazy classical villain theme when someone's doing something villainous, and it's like it becomes a whole kooky music video or a TikTok edit or something, and it's great. It's fun. So the music and the sound design are very creative and playful in a way that we have never heard before in Westeros. The cinematography is often very beautiful, and there's some really kooky, playful, funny camera work here. I think in particular the directing by Sarah Adina Smith, who directs half of the episodes this season, is really funny. She brings a artsy, experimental, playful energy to the way that it's shot that I really enjoy. The big fight scene is fantastic. The choreography and the feel of the fight is awesome. It's better than I imagined. It is so muddy and clumsy and desperate and brutal. They make a couple of changes to the fight, small changes, and I think the changes are really great. But yeah, overall, don't expect a fast-paced, action-packed adventure. This is pretty slow. And I think that the release schedule will frustrate some people, because these episodes are only 30 minutes long. So getting just 30 minutes of story each week, that might feel drawn out. It might feel too slow. Some people might want to wait until the whole season is out and then watch it all in one sitting, because you totally could watch this as one 3-hour-long movie instead of 6 30-minute long episodes over 6 weeks. That might be too slow. But yeah, overall, this is a faithful adaptation of the book. It doesn't contradict the book in any big ways, but it does add to the book. And I think, like, shockingly, in many ways, I think this show is better than the book. And I'm surprised to be even saying that, because the book is great. George R. R. Martin says the book is one of the best things he's ever written. But many characters in the show are way more fleshed out and way more interesting than they are in the book. They're expanded really well. And there are so many fun and funny moments added in the show. The show looks great. It sounds great. The directing and the editing is so creative and playful. So yeah, it's brimming with personality. Overall, I think this show is a triumph. I think it works. I think it succeeds. I think that A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is exactly what it needs to be. I think it's better than it needs to be. They're already filming Season 2, which is great. I hope they also do Season 3 to cover the 3 published Dunk and Egg books. And I hope that they continue the show beyond the 3 seasons to cover the future adventures of Dunk and Egg based on George R. R. Martin's notes and plans. Now, I have a lot more to say about this show. There are some fascinating little reveals in this show that have implications for the lore and future mysteries. There's a lot of character and story choices to dig into and analyze, and I do have some complaints about this show. I have a list of like 5 big complaints that I have got to talk about. So, me and Glidus are doing a podcast about this show called Dunk Time. In Dunk Time, Glidus and I talk about each episode of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms in depth. Each episode of Dunk Time is like 3 hours long. And the podcast comes out on Nebula on Sunday nights right after A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms airs. Sign up at the link in the description. There will also be a free version on YouTube that comes out a few days later. That'll be on Glidus's channel, so go subscribe, link in the description. Thank you for watching my review. I've never done a review before, so this is exciting. Thanks for listening. I do hope you'll listen to Dunk Time. It was a lot of fun to record. And yeah, peace out. Cheers.